Wait. So your favorite movie ever is the live-action Ben 10? Why? That movie's horrible.
Look, I know it's cheesy, but I grew up with it, so...
You know what? I'm not gonna judge. Fair enough.
How about you?
My favorite movie is High School Musical Part 2.
Honestly, respectable choice. That movie's a banger, yeah.
Indeed.
Alright, what's your favorite movie? Me?
Yes, let's hear.
My favorite movie is Jennifer's Body.
You scoundrel!
No, look, okay? It's a great movie. It was ruined by poor marketing, okay? It's a beautiful film about adolescence and growing up as a teenage girl. Which, yeah, maybe I can't relate to that much, but it's good, okay? And I can still appreciate that.
Jennifer's Body's in a pretty weird spot in the modern zeitgeist as far as movies go. It's not completely forgotten like Jawbreakers, John Tucker Must Die, or Drop Dead Gorgeous, most of which are great movies, just not talked about as much as I think they should be. It's also not as popular or as socially relevant as Mean Girls, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Heathers, Juno, Pump Up the Volume, and on and on and on. I think Jennifer's Body belongs on that last list. On Google, it's listed as a cheesy satire, but I think that's a pretty reductive take. It is pretty cheesy. If you've seen Juno, it has dialogue like that. It's written by the same person, I'm pretty sure. In case you haven't watched the movie, I'll briefly go over it, but I'll assume you've watched it or just okay with following along and just sort of going with what I say. There will be spoilers, okay? So if you care about that, you should go watch the movie because it is really good. I'm gonna spoil the ending and a couple of scenes throughout, but not everything. So you could still watch this video, watch the movie, and enjoy the movie, but you would enjoy it more if you go watch it. With that being said, I am going to skip over a lot of stuff because I want this video to mostly be about how reductive the marketing was in the context of the themes of the movie. So with all the disclaimer stuff out of the way, the movie focuses on the relationship between Needy Lesnicki and Jennifer Check. They were best friends since childhood, and Jennifer is the popular, hot, sexy cheerleader, while Needy is a band geek. Gross. We're given a glimpse into the dynamic of the relationship pretty early on, with Jennifer obviously being the one in charge, at least on the surface. She, physically pushes Needy around. We're being pretty blunt here.
It smells like Thai food in here. Have you guys been fucking?
You're gross. You're gross. You're gross.
It's so gross.
Fuck you.
Let's go to the club.
Needy does have a boyfriend, young Neil from Scott Pilgrim, but Jennifer wants Needy to herself and sort of drives Needy away from him in pretty small but manipulative ways. So at this point, we have a pretty generic movie with quirky dialogue starring a mean girl that just screams mid-2000s. That all changes when they go see Low Shoulder at the club. And why do they go see Low Shoulder, you ask? Because according to Jennifer, the lead singer is salty. Ooh. Anyways, the club burned down, the band kidnapped Jennifer, they sacrificed her, and she comes back as a succubus that kills boys at her school so she can steal their life force. The movie follows Needy growing out of Jennifer's shadow and eventually killing her to protect the town, making her not so needy anymore. Real slick, guys. In the middle of that, we also learned that Chris Pratt gave Jennifer anal, which doesn't really have much to do with anything. I just wanted to mention that. So, to address a couple things. Yes, Megan Fox is extremely sexy in this movie. And yes, the movie does utilize that. But not in an exploitative way, more of a way to emphasize its themes and drive its points home. Like, the first shot of the movie is Jennifer biting at her hair with stained teeth, picking at a scab on her arm. It's not exactly what you would expect if the movie was trying to overtly over-sexualize its characters. My friend and I were talking about movies a while ago, and when I mentioned I liked Jennifer's Body, he genuinely thought that it was like a softcore porno because of the title and the marketing alone, which just isn't the case. If he had taken the time to watch it instead of just assuming, he would assume the movie's themes and content deviate from the marketing. Theme and content. The themes of the movie and its content deviate from the marketing. There we go, that's the right one. Even the name of the movie, Jennifer's Body, has a lot of deeper layers to it. The entire film revolves around Jennifer's body in some sort of way throughout the entire runtime. At first, it's stuff like the lust that people surrounding Jennifer feel for her body, the importance Jennifer places on her body, even at the expense of her own sense of self, the jealousy other people feel towards her body, and on and on and on and on. Later, after she's sacrificed, the same applications of the title still apply that I just said, but there's also a stronger focus on the upkeep of her body and the work it takes for a young girl to feel valued by both others and herself in a society that objectifies her. Anyways, all these points reign true regardless of Jennifer's transformation into a succubus, but are emphasized because of that transformation. I know I sound like an English teacher looking for symbolism everywhere, but this movie genuinely has a lot to offer. The title isn't just saying, look at Jennifer's rockin' hot bod, like a lot of the posters suggest, but But the fact that people think it's that sort of just plays into the movie's point about the nuance something has and the work it takes to maintain appearances, only for it to be objectified and labeled at a glance. Jennifer in this movie wants to be categorized as the sexy cheerleader. It's easier for her to exist as a stereotype than as an actual person with more nuance. So as her beauty is put into question throughout the movie, we see her fall apart more and more, both literally and figuratively. Some scenes, like the one of Jennifer swimming naked in the lake after killing that one football dude in particular, have been chastised for being an excuse for men to achieve some sort of voyeuristic want of seeing Megan Fox naked. But they ignore the point that it happens in the story. It's right after the first kill that the audience actually sees. Jennifer is washing the blood of her victim off, but the scene also displays a sort of reverse baptism or rebirth for Jennifer from human to creature as steam literally rises off her body, and the director and writer both endorsed its sentiment in their commentary. Whenever Jennifer does lure a boy to his death, it's always done in a very deliberate way. The first kill we see, which is with Mr. Football Dude right before the water scene, happens in the woods, surrounded by animals watching, which plays more into the inhuman nature of Jennifer. With her next kill, Colin Gray, Jennifer is surrounded by candles that are described in the screenplay as emitting a hellish glow, and then rats scurry by as Jennifer remains unfazed and her eyes flash a demonic yellow. Both of these scenes show the boys playing along with the situation despite knowing that it's strange, all because the idea of sleeping with Jennifer overwhelms them and clouds their judgment. The kills aren't meant to be sexy for the sake of being sexy, but rather show both the lengths people will go to for lust and desire, as well as to show the descent of Jennifer's humanity. Jennifer is like the epitome of the femme fatale archetype, and her appearance plays a huge role in that, like most characters in that category. In my opinion, not that anyone asked, Jennifer looked the hottest right after she hadn't killed for a while, right before the murder of Colin Gray. She looks the most like a real person here, no heavy lip gloss or makeup, just normal. Ironically, this is when Jennifer is the most unhappy with her appearance. Even Edie says she doesn't look too good. The normalization of Jennifer's sexy and high maintenance appearance is needed to show the difference between her when she's killed versus when she hasn't. The societal mischaracterization of Jennifer's body, or JB if you're hip like me, reminds me a little bit of the play Lysistrata by, I wrote it down, Aristophanes? I don't know.
Aristophanes.
It's a play where all the women in town refuse to sleep with the men until they call off the ongoing war. The play's also a comedy full of satirical dialogue, like when Lysistrata brings up even the idea of withholding coitus. This other girl's like, and I'm gonna read off my notes here so I get the quote right, "Ask what you like, but not that. If I had to, I'd be willing to walk through fire sooner than give up screwing. There's nothing like it, dear Lysistrata." Some people think that scenes like that are making fun of women when they really show the power they hold within a society.
They're just boys. Morsels. We have all the power, don't you know that?
This sexual obsession is clearly satire, and it plays into the comical elements of the play, but it also allows more closed-minded readers to simply laugh at the elements they disagree with and call it an outlandish comedy, and other people who care to look closer can look closer and really pay attention to what it has to say. A more recent example of this would be the Barbie movie, which is a very feminist film that makes fun of a lot of societal conventions that are deemed toxic. I feel like if someone told you that they thought the movie was empowering toxic masculinity rather than making fun of it, you would think they're either pretty stupid or that they lack media literacy. The same is true for people who think Jennifer's body is just Megan Fox being a sexy, mean girl, demon murderer with no other substance besides being eye candy. They just haven't thought about the movie beyond surface level. On the Blu-ray extras, Diablo Cody, the executive producer and screenwriter of the movie, says that the real horror element of the film isn't in the demonic murders.
Why can't the sort of horror element of this story be about kind of like girl-on-girl hate, envy, romantic jealousy? Those are all very frightening concepts to me.
The job of horror is to take an emotional truth and amplify it into a physical manifestation, and JB, Jennifer's body, explores the emotional truths of cruelty in teen girl adolescence and the assumption that cruelty is just the status quo of interaction between girlfriends. When the movie is still characterizing the dynamic between Jennifer and Edie, we get a piece of dialogue that shows some of the more subliminal cruelty of their relationship. I'm about to show you that scene, and I want you to notice that young Neil has his shoes on the bed. And that's gross. There's nothing more to say about it, but it maybe not care about him as much. So don't wear shoes on your bed. That's gross.
Wear something cute meant something very specific in Jennifer speak. It meant I couldn't look like a total zero, but I couldn't upstage her either. I could expose my stomach, but never my cleavage. Tits were her trademark.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Another example of jealousy in the girl's relationship comes from when Needy is telling her boyfriend about Jennifer's new state of demonic being. She doesn't mention the new demonic superpower she possesses, but instead the fact that her skin glows and that her hair is more luscious. Even in the climax of the movie, Jennifer and Needy are still mouthing off and belittling each other, getting caught up on such trivial things.
Wow, nice insult, Hannah Montana. You got any more harsh digs?
Which, side note, leads to some of my favorite dialogue in the movie. I love the, "You're a jerk, nice insult, Hannah Montana, blah 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 blah." It's so good. I love the dialogue in this movie. Juno too. Again, I think it's the same writer, so good job, Jennifer's Body. Anyways, these opinions and feelings have been building up for years, but both girls, particularly Needy, kept it to themselves until now. Their fight doesn't have much to do with Jennifer's killings. It did start because of that, but throughout it the girls were mostly just insulting each other and being vindictive.
I am not insecure, Needy. God, that's a joke. How could I ever be insecure? I was the snowflake queen.
Yeah. 2 years ago when you were socially relevant.
I am still socially relevant.
And when you didn't need laxatives to stay skinny.
I am going to eat your soul and shit it out.
Now JB, Jennifer's Body, doesn't just focus on the cruelty of the female relationship, but also a sort of romance? Ooh.
Thought you only murdered boys.
I go both ways.
We first get introduced to that concept during Jennifer's cheerleading scene, and it continues throughout the movie. Both Jennifer and Needy are codependent on each other, and there's a sense of an unhealthy worship and envy between the two. Needy can't even completely embrace her boyfriend in an emotional way because of the existence of Jennifer, and Jennifer likes that.
No, Needy, maybe you should talk to somebody about these disturbing thoughts that you're having. We're all really concerned. Especially Chip. I think he may be having second thoughts about you. Leave.
Needy stares at Jennifer even when she doesn't stare back. She protects Jennifer even when it's not mutual, and to her, everything revolves around Jennifer no matter what. There is, however, a mutual desire between the characters. Jennifer talks about the slumber parties when they were younger and playing boyfriend and girlfriend when they were kids, not to mention the long, slow, sensual close-up of them making out with a direct focus on their lips. This is another scene that many have assumed was only in the movie for the pleasure of male viewers, which is sort of absurd. Now yes, I am sure someone somewhere has got off to this scene. That is not the point, okay? The scene is erotic in a way, obviously, but it's also suspenseful and sort of uncomfortable. Put into context, Needy is making out with a demonic, inhuman cannibal, one who literally just ate one of her friends that same night. Even the writer and director have chastised people who think the scene is purely exploitative, and discussed that if the movie was between seemingly platonic friends of opposite sexes, no one would bat an eye at the scene. But this instance is important, because not only does it add more to their characters, but it recontextualizes previous scenes, such as why Jennifer changes her mind about Colin Gray after initially rejecting him. Jennifer longs to be better than Needy and to feel superior to her in every way, like when she seduced Needy's boyfriend and told him to say that she's better than her.
Say I'm better than Needy.
What? Why?
The marketing makes it seem like the movie is just Megan Fox going around being a sexy man-eater, which she literally does become, to be fair. Jennifer has a desire for at least a Needy, but maybe other girls too. I don't know. If I said she did, I would be guessing, so no clue. But there is some sense of queer, bisexual, erotic relationship between Jennifer and Needy. And that adds to the story. Another thing I wanted to quickly mention was the feminist take on JB, Jennifer's Body. To be clear, the movie is overtly feminist by nature, but that doesn't mean it's anti-men. It's written by women, directed by women, and it stars women. The movie doesn't really care about them, besides maybe young Neil. They're just plot devices to move the story forward. I was reading an article called Analyzing the Cultural Impact of Jennifer's Body More Than a Decade Later by Chloe Mason. And in it, the author says, and I quote, "Watching Jennifer in the film take revenge on the symbol of culture of violence against women and literally young boys feels way too satisfying, especially as a victim of sexual assault. In fact, the film allows us to release the repressed anger that we feel as women and as victims of sexual abuse. That's why the film feels surprisingly cathartic, and why it's addictive to watch." While I understand that different people can interpret the same piece of art differently, and I recognize that it's horrible that the author went through what she went through, I think she missed the point of the movie. The men aren't the focal point. You're not meant to fixate on them. I think this quote from the director to the writer on the Blu-ray commentary helps to drive that point home. You didn't write characters where the boys were deserving of punishment. They're just clueless. This movie explores the complex and nuanced relationships between the female characters that aren't normally talked about in Hollywood. It's a movie that can only exist because of the female influences from each party involved in making the movie. Diablo Cody stated in an interview, "If a guy wrote a movie with the line, 'Hell is a teenage girl,' I would reject that. But I'm allowed to say it because I was one.
I think the fact that we were a female creative team gave us permission to make observations about some of the more toxic aspects of female friendship.
To focus on the men is just to undermine that, and I hope that the writer of the article can see the movie as a great movie because of the female characters, not in spite of the male ones. So even with that being said, I'm glad the movie is getting more praise now despite the marketing. There are so many sub-themes and messages that the movie explores that I haven't even mentioned here, like Jennifer's rejection of her true self throughout the movie, especially when it comes to her emphasizing that she's a virgin instead of embracing her past, or the evil nature of the entertainment industry and what has to be done to make it big. Even the fact that Needy ends up in the insane asylum after the end of the movie after saving the town from Jennifer mirrors society's impulse to not believe women and call them crazy. JB, Jennifer's body, has so many nuanced takes that are just lost in the poor marketing. In one interview, the director was talking about early conversations with the marketing team, saying, and I'm gonna do another voice, I forgot what the director's voice was last time, so it's inconsistent, whatever. In those conversations, I was like, oh, okay, we are either seeing we made a movie that they see completely differently, or what's in front of them is something they don't want to see. At the time, it was painful, but now I'm realizing that this is evident of the world at large. Basically, the studio just focused on marketing Megan Fox as a sexy woman in an erotic slasher. And in doing so, they neglected both the main character of the movie, Needy, as well as the entire point of the movie. I know I didn't really focus too much on the actual marketing, but people know the marketing. They don't know the message, and I think that's important. I want to show people that there's more to this movie than just Megan Fox posing in a miniskirt. But to be reductive, is Megan Fox hot? Yeah. And would I wear a barbed ring that makes me bleed for her? Also, yes. If you guys liked the video, like the video. If you didn't, don't like the video, but don't dislike it because that negatively affects me. And that's just mean. That's just cruel. Don't do that. If you really liked the video and you liked me, subscribe.
What was surprising was I felt like they didn't actually watch the movie. Like, how could they review it the way that they did? After having watched the movie, I do feel like obviously it was mismarketed, and I think that's probably, you probably feel a lot of anger about that, right? Or you did at the time because it was marketed in a way, that it didn't really give it much of a chance. But it's their job to be impartial and be neutral and to watch a movie and review it that way, and that's obviously not what happened.